Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this PGA Introductory webinar. My name is Michael Abbott, and I'm the Member Education Executive here at the PGA. It is my pleasure today to introduce our speaker, David Bancroft-Turner. David, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks.
Good.
Just to give you a little background information about David, previously he's worked in the international banking sector. He worked at National Westminster Bank for 14 years. He has been the head of management development for a number of large multinational companies. And for the past 17 years, David has been an executive coach, trainer, and speaker specializing in leadership and development. David is perhaps best known for his pioneering work in the area of organizational politics and has developed and trademarked the unique political intelligence process. As such, David now runs the Academy of Political Intelligence. David is here today to talk about his seminar, Golf Club Politics, Here to Stay and How to Manage, and hopefully he can give us a better idea as what is included on that seminar and why PGA pros should attend. So David, I'll pass over to you.
Thank you, Michael, and welcome to everybody who's listening to this introductory webinar on Golf Club Politics. What I'd like to take you through to start with is a question for you in terms of whether politics is a positive or a negative. The research is very clear. When we speak to people in large or small organizations, 80% of people consider politics and political behavior to be in the negative. In fact, there are a lot of books written on the subject of organizational politics. If you go on to Amazon, I think there's about 128 books written on the subject. And the interesting thing about those books is that 120 of them are positioned in terms of how to get them before they get you. I think what's particularly sad is I have all of those books, and perhaps what is even sadder is I've read all of them. Very interesting they are too. Now, why do many people think that the subject of politics is linked to a negative? Well, probably because of the link of the word to the type of behavior that goes on at Westminster. But one of the fascinating things about the subject is it's typically an unspoken activity that goes on in many organizations, large and small, and certainly it goes on in a lot of the golf clubs that I've been a member of throughout my golfing career. What I'm going to do as well is take you through a definition of organizational politics and to get some clarity on what it actually is. So here's one definition that we'll be using on the day of the workshop. I'll also show you other definitions, but I guess at one level it's the informal as opposed to the formal way in which your club makes decisions, and something that I hear myself saying on a regular basis, it really is the way in which your club really works. So it's more about the informal way, the unspoken, the unwritten, the side discussions that go on in your club as opposed to the formal processes. Fact is that politics is absolutely everywhere, and particularly in golf clubs, because there is something unique about golf clubs with regard to politics, is that many golf clubs are full of people with lots of time on their hands. But let's have a look at why we need a workshop on the subject of golf club politics. Well, really what we're going to be covering is how to turn what is a negative for many people into a positive, and what you actually have to do to make that happen. So let me say immediately the workshop is very practical in nature. We are going to be covering lots of skills, lots of behaviors, lots of tips and techniques for you to take away, implement back into the workplace to make you even more effective. As I said before, it's typically unspoken. This is quite a unique subject. It's a unique workshop because what we're going to cover is probably what your boss won't tell you, what your parents couldn't tell you, and what the business schools can't tell you. But nevertheless, is probably one of the most important facets of organizational life and golf club life that you actually have to manage. Let's have a look at the workshop content. The flow of the day is structured and it's logical, so we start off with some definitions of organizational politics, different ways of thinking about the subject, and actually investigating your own perception of what organizational politics is. We also have a lot of research. I've been running this workshop for over 10 years now to lots and lots of different types of people all over the world, and we have a lot of research and a lot of information to share with you about the subject of organizational politics. We've developed what we call the political animal model. So we've identified that there are 4 political animals in all organizations. There are foxes, there are owls, there are mules, and there are sheep. And we're going to give you a questionnaire on the day to actually identify what type of political animal you may be. And when you have that information, when you have that data, you can then start to make some decisions in terms of what type of political animal would I like to be. So we moved quite quickly on from the political animal model and the information that we're going to be giving you into the skills and behaviors and how to turn what is a negative for many people into a positive. So we're going to be throwing at you literally dozens and dozens and dozens of very practical tips and techniques around the 4 skill areas that we've identified that will be which will enable you to manage this subject effectively. We'll also be giving you some time to investigate your own real-life challenges, so some of the political challenges that you have in the golf club, some of the real-life dilemmas that you have, and applying the tools and techniques that you'll be learning on the day to those real-life challenges, and give you an opportunity to work out how you're going to manage these challenges back in your workplace. If I was to summarize what the workshop is all about, it's all about improving your performance. It's all about making you more effective and making your teams effective, better at your job, give you better prospects, and better at managing the political environment. Now, I mentioned the political animal model. We've identified that there are 4 animal types that exist in all organizations: public, private, not-for-profit, in golf clubs, and you will be one of these political animals. So on the workshop we will be giving you a questionnaire, a diagnostic to complete, which will actually give you some information as to what political animal you are. The skill areas that we'll be looking at, not surprisingly, are around what we call communication, influencing, and networking, but we've also identified a 4th area which we call Factor X, and I invented Factor X years before Simon Cowell started any of his programs, and Factor X for us is the difference that makes the difference. So there are things in there like boss politics, email politics, social media politics, and as I said, we'll be giving you an opportunity to think about how you're going to implement and what you're going to do differently when you go back to the workplace. So that sort of brings me to the end of this introductory session. I hope I've given you a flavor of what's to come, and I'm getting very excited about running the workshop for you, and I look forward to meeting you in due course. Michael, back to you.
David, thanks, and I think you've really given PJ professionals and myself a good understanding and a good overview of what the course is and how they might use it when they get back into the workplace. I have a few questions that I can have drawn up as I've gone along. Is it okay if I cover those now?
Yes, please do.
I don't think it's anything new, the idea of there being politics in golf clubs. Are there any clubs that you're aware of where there aren't politics?
Well, it's a good question, Michael. No, that's not my experience. I think that some golf clubs are political. I think that some golf clubs are very political, and I think some golf clubs are amazingly political. It's actually a feature of all organizations, and I think where 2 or 3 people are gathered together in any sort of club or any sort of organization, you always have politics, and certainly the research that we've done shows that there's just as much politics going on in large organizations as small organizations. So no, I'm afraid politics is alive and well almost everywhere.
And what about, you mentioned these political challenges and how pros might be able to deal with these once they're aware of what the challenges are, how they could deal with them back in the workplace. Do you have any examples of that?
Um, Well, I guess what we'd like to do, Michael, is to work with the real-life dilemmas that people bring with them to the workshop. Some of the dilemmas in the past that we've worked with are typically dilemmas with the boss, the line manager doing something that people don't agree with, and they struggle to know how they're going to manage that. Sometimes there are different agendas, different priorities in the organization, so there's quite a lot of conflict that comes as a result of that, and people sometimes struggle with managing conflict and different agendas. Sometimes the political behavior is somebody who is being very difficult or awkward. There's a wide range of behaviors that are linked to that. And again, it doesn't really matter, Michael, because on the workshop what we like to do is to work with the real-life dilemmas that people have, as opposed to sort of making up any sort of role plays or giving people suggestions. I think it's always more exciting and it's much more helpful for people to work with their real-life stuff.
No, absolutely. And no, thanks for that. That's kind of cleared that up for me. And it kind of leads into the next question I had, which was, for anyone who was watching this and thought, oh, politics is for, people further up in the hierarchy, senior management, that isn't really the case at all, is it? This is relevant to anyone, whether or not, they may be an assistant professional or whether they're a director of golf or a golf operations manager.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, over the last 12 years, I think I've probably run the workshop for every single level of management that exists, right from board level right through to new joiners in new organizations. I mean, I guess the context is always slightly different depending on the type of organization and the type of sector that you're working in. But this is a subject that interests all levels of people for different reasons. And yes, I mean, it is designed to meet the needs of all different levels of people. So again, Michael, that's a good question.
Thanks. And just one last question before we finish the webinar. For PGA pros who are watching this webinar and maybe need a final push to want to book onto the course, what will they get out of the day? What can they leave after the 7 hours that the course is and say, right, I know this now, I've learned this, I can implement this back in the workplace?
Yeah, well, I think in general terms, Michael, if I structure it like this, the morning is full of input and information and skill development, being clear about the behaviors to turn what is a negative into a positive for many people, and actually being able to manage the political landscape more effectively. In the afternoon, literally, we will be working with people and giving the delegates literally dozens and dozens and dozens of ideas, tips and suggestions, and they will be leaving with absolute clarity about what they need to do to make their workplace more effectively. But they will also be taking away the political intelligence profile, which is a 32-page booklet, which is absolutely full of development ideas, which they can dip into after the workshop and continue to use as an ongoing development tool.
Fantastic. It sounds great. Well, David, thank you very much for spending some time with us today and conducting this webinar with us. On behalf of all PJ members who are going to view this, it's very much appreciated, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you here at the PGA for a seminar soon. For PJ members watching this seminar, if you want to see David in action, don't forget to go onto the Member Education homepage and register interest for this seminar. If you're watching this on YouTube, there is a link in the About section below, so just click on that and you'll be redirected to our website where you can book on for the course. David, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just like to thank you, Michael, for the opportunity, and really looking forward to meeting your members.
Absolutely, so we hope to see you soon.
Many thanks.
Cheers. Thanks, David. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.